Welcome to the Novi Knows Podcast, the podcast built for Novi users, with our builders sharing best practices to help you sell more homes and provide an industry-leading buyer experience. All right, everyone, I want to welcome you out to another episode of the Novi Knows Podcast, the podcast for our builders, by our builders. Honestly, what we're trying to do here is just share best practices from across the U.S. All our builders that are using NoviHome, and they all use it a little bit differently, and just get that information out. And so today I am joined by Sheena Ramos with Abrazo Homes, based out of Kirky, New Mexico. If you know, you know. And when I think of Abrazo Homes, when NoviHome started early, one of the first "Do You Convert" meetings or conferences that I went to, they were highlighting the Abrazo Homes video that I believe Shane had made with the hot air balloons and like the hot air balloon festival. So like every time I hear your name, I think hot air balloon festival. So great.
I love that.
Yeah, great job by Abrazo on the marketing side, because I still think of that to this day.
Perfect. That's exactly what we want. Lasting impressions.
Well, awesome. No, it's lasted. Like I always think about it. So, Sheena, tell us a little bit about yourself and both personally and professionally, and what you do there at Abrazo.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So I've been with Abrazo for just about 11 years now. Absolutely love them as a builder, love them as just a company and who we are. It's really much more like a family. And so Abrazo is locally owned. It was started back in 2010 and by Mackenzie Bishop and Brian McCarthy. And it's just really grown from there. I joined the company when there was, I think, approximately 14 of us completely total in the whole company. And, we've grown from just Albuquerque up to Rio Rancho, Los Lunas, and all the way up to Santa Fe now. But again, still keeping it real local as well. We're a little bit smaller of a builder in comparison to what you might find across the nation. We're building anywhere from 120 to 150 homes a year, which again also allows us to be a little bit more hands-on with our customers as well. Something a little different than what you might see with most production builders. Personally, I have 2 kids. Well, one's not so much a kid anymore. He actually works here at Abrazo on my marketing team. So my son does. So that's really cool. And then my daughter is 15, and they keep us busy even at these ages. So it's been quite the ride up to this point. So.
Oh, that's awesome. And so your son, how old is he, and what does he do? What's his day-to-day there at Abrazo?
Yeah, so he's about ready to turn 20. Day to day, he is actually right under Shane's wing. So everything on the graphic side, everything that we're putting out on our social media, anything that we need to showcase and really kind of add a little bit of flair, he's going to be right there doing that. So a lot on the content creation side of everything.
That's awesome. Shout out to Shane. Shane and I have actually become, I would say, fairly good friends. We have some common interests, so we text back and forth, bounce ideas and questions off each other. But
yeah, he did mention that if we had time, but we probably don't, considering that, we only have 20 and 30 minutes here, because hunting is also something that we all have a passion into. And so my family hunts a ton. So that'll be a topic for another day.
That is right. We'll catch up on that. We will absolutely catch up on this. And when I see Brian, next week, when this episode releases, we will have already attended the International Builder Show in Las Vegas. But I will see Brian down there next week, and I am going to ask him, like, what kind of madman in the wake of the biggest financial crisis since the Great Depression decides, hey, I'm going to get a partner. We're going to go build. We're going to start a home building company.
Yeah, let's do that. One of his favorite sayings is never squander a good crisis. I think that he's lived by that.
I think the Kardashians live by that also. I think
yeah, 100%, 100%. I mean, if only we could be making as much money as them, but we'll take it. We'll take what we got right now.
If we could figure that one out. Well, right on. You have been a long time Novi builder, or Novi Home client, I should say, or partner is what we really like to say internally. And Sheena, I know we love to talk about really this podcast, and I say it all the time. It's like, hey, we're just sharing ideas for our builders to kind of like, hey, Abrazo Homes is doing this in New Mexico. That might work for me in Michigan, or that's we keep them pretty short, and it's just like a real think tank podcast. But you were part of the decision to implement Novi Home, and why did you decide to go with Novi Home? And when I say that, I'm saying, what problems were you trying to solve at Abrazo Homes?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've always really been big on sharing photos and progress with our customers, but we didn't have a really good way to showcase photos and videos where it was easy to be consistent, easy to share it on a platform. Obviously, videos can take up a lot of bandwidth. It's a little bit more difficult if you're going to try to just email a video of the home. And it's hard to kind of keep track of all of that. And Novi was a really good solution where we could have it all in one spot and have something that we could look back through the history of those photos, of those videos, so that they weren't scattered all around, and just give a really good tool that made it a lot easier for our sales agents to be more consistent.
So with your sales team, are they in-house sales agents, or are you guys using realtors from the Albuquerque area?
Yeah, so we have always used our own agents. So they're all in-house. And gosh, we've even had two of them who've been with us for over a decade each. So that's pretty cool as well. You don't always see that with sales agents, but yeah, all in-house.
Okay. And I know last year, Larry Stapp,
Staff. Yep,
Stapp, right?
correct.
Stapp.
Yep, you got it.
He was one of the within Novi Home, just so everybody knows out there. I pulled some lifetime numbers for Abrazo. So lifetime, they have loaded or sent to their buyers almost 97,000 photos and videos. So that's like
I
you're
love that.
right on the 100,000 mark.
I
I gotta go
love
in and
that.
check and see if there's any other builders that have hit 100,000 yet.
Well, and
Um,
again, considering that we're, not a super big, builder, I'm like, I take great pride in that, our sales reps have really jumped in and they see the value of it. And I mean, clearly it shows.
yeah, well, I think Larry in 2023, it would have been 2023, was one of the number one photo takers, is what we called it here internally. But essentially, he was top five, if not the top agent in sending photos to home buyers.
Yeah, he's absolutely fantastic with doing that. And it shows. So we do internal customer surveys throughout every stage of the process. They get a survey sent out of where they are in the process. And Larry always has incredible feedback from his home buyers. And because the journey just is so great when you are getting constantly updated and you get to share in that excitement throughout the build process. And, so again, just it goes to show that when you utilize it consistently, you're going to get happy customers.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, yeah. Shout out to Larry. Shout out to Shane. We're hitting everybody.
I
Brian,
love it.
McKinsey. Um, before Novi Home, were you guys just taking photos? I mean, I'm sure Larry was trying to send photos. Was that something that was just being done like on his cell phone, or can you
Yeah,
remember?
so we actually did use another platform where it was similar to the idea of Novi Home. The big hurdle for us is that there wasn't an app and there wasn't a way to send video. So
Mm,
that was really where we kind of got stuck at a crossroads where we had to make a decision. And then Kevin Oakley recommended Novi Home that we take a look. And that's, when I got connected with you guys and kind of went down that path of explaining this is really what we're trying to accomplish with the videos, with all the photos, and have it where it's in a platform that's easily accessible. Again, not everybody wants to download a new app, but we are just in that day and age of app-based tools. And email, it works well, but it's better for text. And so being able to just have something that's going to notify you right away, especially when it's something that you're really excited for when you're
yeah.
building a new home, it is very stressful, but it's also very exciting, and you want to be updated. One of the coolest things that I've seen that have come from this is that when somebody's building a new home, they want to come out all the time, every day, and see the, the progress of their home, which I totally get. I built a home with Abrazo Homes, and I was the same way.
Sure.
The issue is it becomes a safety issue. And so when they're out on site without a sales rep, or they don't have a meeting, and depending on what time, what time frame in the build it is, it could end up being really dangerous, especially if, trusses are just being put up or whatever, right? And so we used to have to deal with that all the time, where our superintendents were having to manage the home sites and, get frustrated with our home buyers. And then it would create frustration with them because now their excitement kind of got squashed a little bit. And now we have seen a drastic reduction in our home buyers coming out onto site without having an appointment. So it's also helping with our safety as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've had a couple builders talk to me about that, and it's such a hard number to gauge because instantly, like from my side, I'm like, okay, what's the percentage? Like, what would you say it would be? Because I want to market that. I want to say, hey, reduce on-site visits by 60%, like Abrazo Homes, or
I would say probably even 75% for us, because we are able to create an expectation for them, explain the why behind it, but then give them a tool to still accomplish what they would have accomplished by coming out on site.
Well, and I think as a buyer, right, and you're getting your constant updates, Larry's updating you multiple times a week or once a week. Like, we all like the path of least resistance every once in a while. And if it's like, oh, I don't need to go out there. Larry sent me a video, and I know drywall is being put in right now. So we're
100%.
good. We're good.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Talk to me, you and I we talked a little bit before the podcast started, but talk to me a little bit about warranty. And warranty is an area, when you talk to us, we're not trying to replace your warranty. We're trying to maybe give ease of access. But warranties were an area where you guys have had some success, and not a lot of our builders use Novi as, a warranty function.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, step number one, though, is you have to have your sales reps who are out there weekly, right? It needs to be consistent, where they're taking photos, and they're taking photos of every room. And it's extremely helpful once you have, I would say, framing, once you have electrical, plumbing. So before sheetrock goes up, when you have kind of the behind the scenes of the walls, it is extremely helpful, because once the sheetrock goes up, it's really hard to see, is something missing, or is it just buried? Maybe, they missed the cutout, or it's there. But so it might be a very inexpensive fix, right? And we've had multiple times where my warranty department is coming back over and asking, hey, can you pull up photos of this particular home? And it's very interesting because, we got kind of on a path of where all of the sales reps have to be taking weekly photos. Well, prior to that, we were running into the issue now that our warranty department expects that, and we'd find a home that was maybe a little bit older of a home, and I'm trying to pull photos and there's nothing there. And the frustration of it not being there now is crazy. And even, for example, we had a inventory home, a spec home that was for sale, almost done. We had a buyer come in. This is actually with Larry. And we're looking in every single room. In one of the particular rooms, there's supposed to be a data connection. And he was like, well, that's really interesting. We always have them in every single room. Let me go back through my photos and see if maybe it just got buried. And sure enough, they just missed the cutting it out during the drywall, portion of it. And it was a very quick, easy fix. And it was very important to that particular buyer. And they ended up moving forward. And again, it's not even necessarily that would have been the deciding factor to move forward or not. It was more the fact that we could justify that we're a builder who knows what we're doing. And we also know how to correct things. We have all the tools in place if we need them. So that was, one instance on the sales side. But again, going back to the warranty, we have our warranty department coming back to us all the time saying, hey, where is this particular pipe behind this wall, so that we don't have to be putting 4 holes in a customer's home if there's something that we're trying to diagnose, right? You can pinpoint it and get right to the spot that you need to. And then also we've had another instance where we are able to go back to a vendor and say, you didn't do this correctly. Here's the photo. So this is not going to be on us. This is going to be on you, and you're going to correct this. So it saved us money as a builder as well.
That's so cool. That is so cool. Talk to me a little bit, because every builder's the best ones that I've seen when it comes to taking photos and updating the buyers is they kind of mandate once a week. But it sounds like that might be your protocol, but what's the protocol at Abrazo?
Yeah, so it's once a week for us as well. And, a lot of the sales reps will say this particular week, nothing really happened that changed it dramatically. And so we still request that they do snap a few photos. Again, it helps us in marketing as well, just to see, okay, either we had a snag or a hang up, or, things just aren't moving forward. And also on the construction side too, when they go to their meetings, it's easy for them to pull it up and for the construction manager to say, hey, why is this particular home sitting for a week with nothing being done? What else could be going on right now? And then obviously they can diagnose the situation and figure out how they need to move forward. But yeah, once a week for us. And then that way you also make sure that you capture everything that's going on in the home. Again, when you need to go back to them later on, once the walls are closed up, it's extremely helpful.
Well, what's interesting is when Abrazo first started with us, our technology is pretty good. Like you said, it was solid with taking the photos and the videos, but we did have an issue in no, areas that were dead zones where the photos, you guys actually broke our software.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see, like, hey, because what was happening at the time, just so everyone knows out there, is they were going out into a dead zone taking photos, and the way we had built it, when you get back into cellular service, it should kick back in and send that photo out. And for whatever reason, it wasn't, which allowed us an opportunity. We call those opportunities.
Yep.
An opportunity to go in and fix that. But it's so fun to talk to some of our early builders that you guys were so instrumental in what our product is today and what we can provide. Now we
Well,
talk to, oh, go ahead.
yeah, we really appreciated a lot of the feedback that we provided to your team, that you guys were extremely receptive and always looking to figure out how to tweak it, because every builder does use it a little bit differently. Every builder has a little bit different of a process of how they work with inventory homes, how they work with new build homes, how they work with their clients. And so obviously it's very hard to try to figure out everybody's process all at once. So when we were able to give you guys feedback of, hey, this is how we'd like to utilize it, your team always went back and tried to figure out something that would address those needs. We've been extremely happy with that along the way. And just knowing that you guys care enough to help us figure it out so that we, again, can provide a better customer journey.
Yeah, well, listen, people talk to me, we will go to, I think we're scheduled for I'm going to go to 8 conferences or sales summits or whatever they're called this year. And at every sales summit or conference or international builder show, someone will come up to me and they'll say, you guys are just so forward thinking, and I can't believe, you guys have figured this out. And every time I'm like, no, we're not great thinkers. We're great listeners. We listen. We have enough clients out there that they're talking to us about frustrations that they have, or they wish Novi could do this. And then we go back to the drawing board and we say, okay, how do we fix this? This sounds like a pretty cool idea. Would this benefit other builders? And how would we be able to roll this out? But yeah, all the time I'm like, no, I'm not that smart. I'm a better listener. Now, my wife would argue that I'm a horrible listener and I just want to solve all the problems. So with your sales team, and how many people do you have on your sales team? How many
Right now, we have 4 sales reps and a sales manager.
Okay. And so every week they're going out. Is there a certain day that they're taking photos and sending those updates?
Yeah, so each of them have a different cadence. And so they just have different days of the week that they'll go out. And typically they kind of pick it based on whether they have appointments that day or tour times. They try to do it earlier in the morning or later in the afternoon, depending on what their schedule looks like.
Okay. So you kind of leave it up to them to fit it
Correct.
into their schedule,
Yep,
take priority. Obviously, it's working. Like I said, you guys
it
are
is.
almost at 100,000 photos. And I believe I'll have to go back and I looked at it earlier this morning. I think you've got nearly 30,000 logins. Like 30, when you think about it, y'all are selling 120 to 140 homes a year. So 30,000 logins, like people are logging in and
Yep.
looking at what you're sending to them. Like that's so crazy.
Yeah, no, I love it. Well, and one of the some of the best feedback that I get from our sales reps is that when they take all their photos and it pushes through, and if our home buyer has the app, it sends the push notification, and you can see immediately that they're logging in. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, they're excited. As soon as those photos come through, they are excited and jumping on and looking at it. We had one couple. The wife was still in Phoenix due to work. The husband was already here locally in New Mexico. And every Saturday they'd get their photos, and they literally would have kind of like their Saturday morning routine where they'd get their photos, they'd jump on the phone together and they'd look at them together. And so, although the wife was in Phoenix, she felt like she was as much a part of the build process as her husband here locally. And it gave them a way to share the excitement together. And I don't, at no point I don't feel like she ever felt left out of the process, which again, I mean, creating those connections is most important in our opinion. We have 10 core values here at Abrazo, and people and putting people first is one of our first core values. And so again, this is a huge journey for anybody. And when you can provide a way for them to connect, for them to get excited together and share something, to us, that's a huge win. So, and again, we were able to do that with the tool of NoviHome.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so awesome. I would not want the pressure that husband felt of making all those decisions and
Yeah.
making sure that's more I would definitely be nervous if my wife was, 8 hours away and I was making all those decisions. But
Yeah.
that's cool that they were able to, hey, sit down, talk about it, make sure, I'm sure you guys were all I'm sure Abrazo was sending photos of each room and kind of walking through and maybe even some videos. So she was able to say, hey, I like that, or can we ask him to change that? So that maybe I should reach out to for a testimonial from him. I might need to
Yeah.
get their name from you.
Yeah. No, that'd be really cool.
Well, right on. Well, listen, we try and keep these at, 20 to 30 minutes and we're sitting in there. Sheena, is there anything that you think that y'all do at Abrazo with Novi Home that would be of value of sharing with other builders across the US?
Yeah, I mean, one other thing that we didn't touch on, because I know we touched on warranty, is really huge for the builder internally, help save money and diagnose particular situations or issues that might be behind the walls. And the marketing side of it, we said super helpful, more communication, kind of like a
Mm,
portal into the field for the marketers who are not out in the field all the time. But one of the other things that we utilize in the marketing side is we like to showcase for our inventory or spec homes what part of the process it is in the build. And so we actually download all those photos from each of our sales reps, and we upload those onto our website. So people can go on and see exactly what part of the process that each of those homes are in, and they can follow that journey as well. So if they're not quite ready to purchase, but they want to see the home when it's a little bit more finished, or they do want to get in, when it's in frame and, be a part of that build process. They know exactly where the home is in the process of the build. And I just feel like they get to be a little bit more intimately connected with it, even if they're not ready to come out, not ready to schedule a tour or an appointment. So on the inventory side, I think it's a huge, huge help to make sure that we can showcase what we're doing with each of our homes and where it is in the process.
yeah, no, and we released a feature called listings last year, which we're currently working on all the ERP integrations, which will show milestones. That's another way, kind of what you're talking about. Like that's
Exactly.
another way. Really, we heard what you're talking about. We heard that going back to like not the smartest smartest tool in the shed or sharpest tool in the shed. See, I can't even say it right. But we listened and we kept hearing like last year and even prior, a little bit the end of 2023, like, oh, we got standing inventory and how do we update potential buyers on quick move-ins and standing inventory. And so I think we put together a pretty darn cool solution for that with the listings and
I would
what you're
agree.
talking about. Just providing that experience, even though they weren't there as it was being built, but being able to go back and show buyers that are going into the quick move-ins. It's pretty
Yeah,
cool. That's
absolutely.
a lot of value there. So, well, listen, Sheena, I appreciate you jumping on. Next time we get together, I am going to make a trip to New Mexico this probably spring.
Awesome. Try to
Um,
come towards the end. It's very windy in the middle of spring here. That's the only bad part of
okay.
our weather, but I'll take that over hurricanes and tornadoes that a lot of the rest of the US gets. So windy season is the spring for us.
Okay, well, I'll make it towards the end of spring. I'm gonna come down and see y'all. There's a couple builders in New Mexico. I got to make a little road trip, and just come down and say hi to everyone and see how everyone's using the technology. But I want to say thank you for being a partner, for working with Novi, and for coming on the podcast. I
Yeah,
appreciate you.
absolutely. I really appreciate the invite and feel free to have anybody reach out if they have any specific questions. We're definitely Novi fans and we're very happy to be partnered with you guys.
Right on. Thanks, Sheena. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.